Welcome to the Lineman Lounge, hosted by Mike and Evo, calling their shots and being outlandish.
Breaking news from the Lineman Lounge. My fantasy football team just took a huge fucking hit. And that also makes it even more likely that the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens on Monday night. Le'Veon Bell is about to be your starter. Latavius Murray is going to go there as well. Jesus, fuck my ass.
Get ready for the thickest podcast in the game. Coming to you from Hangar 6, where sleeves are optional. Strap in. The show starts right now.
¿Cómo están, bitches? This is the Lineman Lounge. I'm Mike. The man to my right is Evo. We are back on a beautiful, beautiful Saturday. I'm very excited. I got some wrestling to watch tomorrow. Graydon's first wrestling meet. I did a basketball game yesterday. The ladies got a win. USC lost. Ohio State's probably going to the fucking college football playoff. And we got some other cool shit to get into today. A lot of things going on in the world of sports. I got a beer. I have a muscle relaxer in me because I'm having fucking back spasms right now. So I'm ready to go. Evo, how you doing, bro, Chacho?
I'm doing pretty good. Had a pretty decent day yesterday in my little neck of the woods with sports. Saturday, I was hoping to have a semi-productive weekend, and it's turned out to be crap because it is rainy here, not snowy, because I'm in Arizona. It's rainy out here, and it's going to be rainy all weekend probably. So it's probably going to be a pretty laid back weekend. I was going to throw the Christmas lights up finally. You know, I'm going to get nagged to do that. But no, with it being crappy weather, I will probably spend that indoors and getting some deep cuddles in, if you know what I mean. Ooh, so
very nice.
Yeah, that's probably what I got going for the weekend. You know, just show today, some relaxing, and maybe some football tomorrow.
Yeah. So I went out and I broke into a house today. Broke into my house, the one that's being built. We're getting quite a bit of progress there. We do have our closing date now for December 19th, so that's very exciting. I'm ready to get out of this goddamn apartment and get into that house. But we are going to have a ton of stuff to do with getting all that shit situated. Like, moving sucks. Now, granted, we're not moving across the country again this time, thank Christ. But we are going to have quite a bit of work to do once we get into the house, getting things set up. And then decorations go into all that shit. And so it's going to be chaos. All the while, I'm going to continue going to class, keep crushing there, and fucking just keep on LIVIN.
But right. You still gonna have I believe Mama Carlisle there with you?
Yeah, Mama Carlisle will be there. All the bedrooms are upstairs. We went through today and figured out who's sleeping where when we actually move into this place. I'm gonna partition off a section of the basement so I can put all the podcast shit in there. It's gonna look great. I'm very, very excited for all of that to get going, but it is gonna be a little bit of a process.
Well, yeah, moving always sucks, but that's really exciting that, you know, it's right around the corner. You're going to be in a new place and one specifically built just for you. So that's real nice. I'm excited for you there.
Me too. Amber is fucking dying to get in the house.
I bet.
But we'll get off of that. We'll talk some youth sports real quick. Youth sports, our side, haven't really got into it yet. Tomorrow, though, Graydon is going to have his first wrestling meet at Madison. I'm excited for him. I'm a little nervous for him. So Graydon is the only 150 pounder on the team, which means he will be one of the varsity wrestlers on the youth program. And he's been wrestling for 3 weeks, which is great for him. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a step up in competition. He's done well. But it's the big boys are going to start wrestling tomorrow. He's not going against kids because, you know, there's a lot of kids on our youth wrestling program, but there's only so many weight classes, and you're not going to have 18 kids in one weight class wrestle each other throughout a day because these meets are only supposed to be like 4 hours. So he's the guy that's going to represent the Riverside squad at the 150 pound weight class, and hopefully, you know, earn some points for the squad, and they can come out with a win over the weekend because they're doing a dual type format. So That's what we got going on. I'm excited for that. That's why we are not doing this show tomorrow morning like we have been doing for a while with the Sunday shows. It's because I got obligations to be a good dad and go watch my son hopefully beat some ass tomorrow.
Absolutely. That's pretty awesome. As long as you got him in the good, right mindset that win or loss, it's a good learning experience for him. I mean, he's a big boy. He's got it took me a while to figure out how to throw my strength and weight around. Like I, was used to growing up, like, oh, you're not supposed to like hit other kids and things like that. And we've talked about this before. It took me a couple of years of playing football to be like, oh, this is the spot where I'm supposed to lay the hammer. And I can actually use my strength and kind of dominate people. And so if he's got that going for him in wrestling, that'll end up being an advantage if he can get that sort of mindset going. And if not, I mean, it'll be good lessons learned regardless. So,
well, and he's already kind of started to see the translation between wrestling and offensive/defensive line play. So we've already kind of started to hammer out some of those things like, hey, listen, when we're talking about this at football, we're doing the same concept here, right? And we're just using it in slightly different variations. So that's been very good for him. But that's what I got going on U Sports wise. I know you have some fucking super dope news U Sports wise as well. So I'll let you go ahead and take the floor.
Yeah. So I've been kind of keeping everyone updated. Not that anyone cares really other than me.
I cared. I watched.
About my Maple Grove Crimson football team, my high school that I grew up with. We at one point in time, I believe, were ranked as high as 5th nationally for 5A football when I played there. In the USA Today, we were ranked pretty damn high. But Crimson football team played in the championship game last night. They played last year in the championship game as well. However, last year they ended up losing to, I believe, Lakeville South. Kind of a bummer there. They lost 18 starters going into this season.
To replace.
Yeah, when you think about 11 on
each
side of the ball.
Very senior heavy squad there.
Yeah, but this year they ended up going undefeated again all the way through the playoffs. Made it to the championship last night, playing Rosemount, and it was going to be a solid offense from my Crimson going up the best defense in the state in Rosemount. Rosemount had averaged only allowing 6.9 points per game to opposing offenses through the entire year. And the most that any team had put up on them in a game was 17 points. And my Crimson went out through half 21-10 with a couple turnovers, and they ended up winning the championship last night 27-10. So first ever championship, football championship for my Maple Grove Crimson, first championship for me for a team that I follow. So I was pretty excited about that. Even though I'm not part of the team anymore, I'm not associated with the team anymore, but super excited to see that. Really glad that I got to watch them play last night there in US Bank Stadium. So super proud of those boys. Really great dominant win. They were able to, kind of roll through Rosemount and their strong defense by just having a diverse offense, good passing game, good rushing game.
I was going to ask you about that. So I was able to tune in towards the end of the game. Did the women's basketball game, and then I made it home. Did they always run that fucking the wing T 3-back offense, or was that just trying to milk the clock and end the game? Because I didn't get to see Maple Grove on offense very often, except for right there at the end.
Yeah, so Rosemount runs that a lot. Maple Grove, from what I've seen, doesn't. That was definitely their clock killer and be safe with the ball.
That's a 4-minute offense.
They were running a lot of 4 and 5 wide stuff or single back stuff for the rest of the game because their quarterback had something like Maple Grove's quarterback had something like 1,200 rushing yards this year, in addition to being a pretty strong arm passer. He's been the starter for the past 2 years. So he showed off his arm talent in the game yesterday too. If it wasn't for a couple dropped passes, he would have had a real solid game. But when they needed big passes, he was throwing those and completing those, and had himself a rushing score as well. So it was just a much more diverse offense for Maple Grove, whereas you could tell the Rosemount team was definitely a team of attrition. So their defense is really, really good at holding other teams. They're used to going forward on fourth down, and they're that type of team that is able to. They've got 3 established backs and a running quarterback. They're able to get 3+ yards every play, and so they'll go for it on fourth down.
Yeah,
because
they
they're
play
going to be able to
bully
get that
ball,
first.
and they're just going to do three yards in a cloud of dust type football. And I mean,
And,
it works. It absolutely does. But
yep.
I mean,
And
that's
at the
tough.
high
If
school
you
level,
get, if it's easy at the high school level, but if you get behind, you're going to have problems. Actually, I texted you. Obviously, Rosemount was down. They needed to make some plays happen, and immediately I knew what was coming based on the alignment of the receiver. He's 4 yards off the fucking line of scrimmage. I was like, okay, so they're running a bubble type play. Maybe it's a trick play. So they ran the bubble, but it was a fake bubble, and they just threw like a fucking 5 yard quick out to the opposite side of the field. I was like, I don't understand what we're calling right here, given the situation and how fucking far down we are. But I mean, obviously, I was not rooting for Rosemount. I'm glad your boys from Maple Grove got it done.
It's tough for us to not kind of assess the games like that when we're used to watching more college and professional
college
football,
and pro. You're like,
you
okay,
have
so
a more diverse playbook, and it's I don't want to completely harp on Rosemount because they played a certain brand of football which does cater very well towards their strengths and towards high school football. A lot of times high school football will be very rush heavy because you don't have the same sort of arm talent that you can expect in those higher leagues.
Yeah, I mean, unless you got one of those like high caliber guys that's getting D1 offers, you're going to be typically a run first offense.
Yeah.
We were in high school. I mean, we ran a pro style offense, but we were still run heavy zone scheme type running team. So
yeah, and you could see Rosemount didn't have that diverse of a playbook when watching the game. It was so run heavy, and it was wherever the guards were pulling, you knew that's where the play was going for the most part. The one touchdown that Rosemount got was down closer to the goal line, and it was because every play that they were running that drive was a run left or run right, just off tackle or just in tackle. And wherever players were pulling, that's where the ball was going. So the Grove defense was flooding that direction. And on the touchdown, they ended up running a pass where they did a naked boot to the opposite direction of where everyone was pulling, and it just left the receiver open. So the Grove defense was obviously catering towards stopping that run game and whichever direction they were going. And we're able to give up that, one pass. So when it came down to, like I said, Rosemount had several turnovers that we were able to capitalize on.
That last pick was beautiful by the safety.
Yeah, very nice. And it was, just Rosemount wasn't able to come back from that sort of a deficit, and they probably didn't have any sort of a deficit like that the entire year, with how much their defense was not giving up points. So, credit to my boys, my Crimson. Super proud of y'all. I'm glad to
you are glad
be a part of that former team. So congratulations, guys, and best luck next year, because I'm sure it's going to be the same sort of situation with a lot of seniors dipping out.
Yeah.
They're talking all night about the different offers and stuff like that kids have and where they're going to be going, things like that.
Very nice. Any big time offers for any of those boys?
I don't recall any big ones. A lot of D2 stuff. Okay. I know they were talking about one of the Rosemount kids that was going to be going down to Arizona State for track and field.
Oh, nice.
But other than that, I'm not recalling anything big off the top of my head.
Hey, listen, if you can play football at the next level, that's awesome. I don't care. You don't have to be a D1 athlete. I wasn't a fucking D1 athlete. I played at an NAIA school. I enjoyed it a little bit for the time that I was there. Before I lost my scholarship for not attending class. But I don't care what level you play at. D1, fucking FBS, FCS, D2, NAIA. D3 is great. I mean, it sucks for D3 kids because you cannot get an athletic scholarship at the D3 level. But you still get to go on and continue to play. So it's great. Congratulations, boys. If you guys are moving on with your playing career, we wish you the best of luck. If not, go out there and crush it in life. So, all right.
Yep.
Anything
all right.
Else,
so
youth sports wise,
that's pretty much it for me. I don't know what sort of youth sports I've got anytime here in the near future either. So it'll be interesting.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start diving into some of the national news going on in the world of sports. we're going to start with baseball because this is going to be pretty goddamn quick. There was a massive signing yesterday. Jacob deGrom is now going to be a Texas Ranger. He gets a 5-year, $185 million deal. That is really good money. It's maybe not as much as I was expecting, but deGrom is getting up there in age. He is 34 years old. He has had some injury concerns, but he is the most dominant pitcher in all of baseball. He has electric stuff. He can throw it by you at 102, or he can fucking make you look stupid with a curveball or a slider down and away. It's a great get for the Rangers. The Rangers have been all in over the last 2 off seasons, trying to get guys in there to make that team competitive. We saw them go after Corey Seager last year. I did not expect deGrom to go down to the Texas Rangers. He seemed like he was going to probably stick around. Big market for sure, contender, considering he just spent all that time with the Mets, not having much of a chance to contend. But it's great for deGrom, gets a lot of money, good for the Rangers. I don't know that it's good for baseball. Seeing one of your premier top name guys go to a team that's not necessarily in a huge market. I mean, Dallas is big. The Arlington area is big, but baseball is not big in Texas like it is in other parts of the country. Like you have Red Sox Nation, the Yankees, the Dodgers. Like baseball fans are diehard for those types of teams, but the Rangers aren't one of those teams that I think about having those diehard fans. What do you got on this deGrom signing, if anything?
Not too much. I mean, it's a big name going to the Rangers. They need a little bit of work down there. It's too early to tell really how much of a ripple this is really going to affect, because I mean, we're looking back a year ago at this time, and I'm not sure you felt too great about Cleveland.
Correct. 100%
and how the Guardians are going to look. And bringing a big name like that is obviously going to be a massive uptick for him.
Ticket seller for sure.
Yeah. But it's just way too early for me to really get a pulse on how much effect this is really going to have for that Ranger team.
All right. So that is it for baseball. There's some other small signings that have happened. Things are going to continue to pop up every single day. I guarantee when Judge shines somewhere, you're going to hear us give our takes on it. But we'll get off of that. We're going to hop over into the world of college football now, and we got college football going on right now. Kansas State, TCU. Kansas State up on TCU currently. But that's not where I want to start.
Going into the half.
Yeah, that's not where I wanted to start, though. We had a game yesterday, and I got to say, I fucking love Utah. Man, I love me some Utah Utes because they went out there and put a fucking hurt on USC. This game was close-ish going into the fourth quarter, and then Utah's defense was spectacular. They get a 47-24 win, effectively knocking number 4 USC out of playoff contention. Number 5 was Ohio State. The Ohio State going into last week's rankings. USC is out. Ohio State is in. That's the way I see it going. Obviously, the committee can do a lot of things.
I was going to say that's
Alabama is right behind Ohio State at number 6, but Alabama has 2 losses. You got to do, if you're going to take a 1-loss team, if you're going to take a team with losses, you take a 1-loss team before you take a 2-loss team. I don't see how they can justify putting Alabama in, even though they're right there, because of the 2 losses. Our only loss coming to currently the number 2 team in the country in Michigan.
They play at 6:00 tonight versus Purdue.
They have to win. And I fucking hate saying that. Michigan has to win today.
No, that's what I was going to say is how does this play out, you think, if somehow Purdue is able to pull off an upset of Michigan? Maybe Michigan has their eyes a little bit more on the college football playoff and aren't focusing as much on
it would be
for some
really
reason.
fucking bad. Oh, man, let me look.
Because Purdue does have a proclivity towards
knocking off people when they absolutely should not.
Yes.
So I got Georgia in 100%. Even if they lose today to LSU, Georgia's in. TCU, if they win, they're in. That would elevate, in my opinion, if Michigan were to lose. that elevates Alabama, and Michigan, I think, still gets in and falls to 4. That keeps Ohio State out because head-to-head matchup, 1-loss teams. Michigan edges Ohio State, and that's bad. I think at that point, if you get a Michigan loss, it's going to drop them down. Maybe Michigan only drops down to 3, but I feel like that's tough to just drop that far. If Michigan loses, I think Alabama is going to get in, and we will be out because we will have the head-to-head loss against Michigan. So I hate to fucking say this, but I need Michigan to win today. I'm not necessarily rooting for them. I need them to win to get Ohio State a chance at a national title. That's the way I see it. What do you think?
A little bit of hope left for you, maybe. I don't know. I personally love to see upsets late in the year like this. So, I mean, TCU, like you said, number 3, they're already down 10-4 going into the half, or 10-14 going into the half versus Kansas State. Chances are they'll still be able to pull that one out, but, TCU undefeated, that would be a big loss.
Kansas State, very good this year. Very good football team this year.
Yes, sir. The LSU Georgia game, I mean, I guess there's always upset potential there, but realistically, Georgia is such a heavy favorite, 17.5 point favorite. They really should be able to win that game, and I don't see even a loss knocking them out, like you were saying. But that Purdue Michigan game, Michigan has been very good this year. They've had some closer ones, but like I said, Purdue has a bit of proclivity towards winning in big games and bowl games. This is not bowl games, but this is the Big Ten championship game. So, they have done a good job in those Big Ten championship games.
Purdue tends to rise to the occasion when they absolutely should not. Like they'll be a 5-6 team, and they'll go play at Michigan or Ohio State or Penn State, and they'll get a random win to become bowl eligible. Purdue is just kind of one of those teams. Now there are years where they're absolutely fucking atrocious, but I remember losing games to Purdue, and it's like, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah,
they're not that team.
So for your sake, I do think that probably the best bet is for Michigan to win this game, and maybe for TCU to lose. If we're gonna look at,
I think TCU stays in though.
I think TCU would stay in,
even with a loss.
Yeah, I think that if TCU were to lose, they might drop down to 4 maybe, and then that could possibly see you sneaking back in.
But I don't know if you can put us at 3.
Maybe
that feels
and that's just a
very
recency
hard.
bias type of thing. But and I'm saying this, just as a fan of parity. I don't expect Georgia to lose, but if everyone else loses, I think that shakes up those final standings so much.
Yeah,
that it is going to be kind of a wild finish to see who actually makes it into the playoffs there. It'd be really interesting to see. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes down. I know, obviously, you're very happy about that big win by the Utes yesterday.
Oh, yeah. I was fucking jacked up.
Like you said, it was 17-17 going into halftime. Utah was able to put up one more score of 7 points in the third quarter, and then they just throttled them, especially with that defense. You saw, late turnovers and whatnot, and putting up an extra 23 points there in the fourth quarter is pretty big. 23 points in one quarter is always big for a football team, regardless of level. So
now USC will be back next year because Caleb Williams is not eligible to come out in the draft. He is a true sophomore. The kid is a stud. They are going to be back. They are going to be competing for a national title next year. It's just not this year. Utah played out of their fucking minds, and their quarterback is an absolute just savage for being able to take a hit the way the man did, bounce back up, and just go on and continue to play. Like, I don't know. Did you see the hit?
I did not. No.
Clean hit, and then took his helmet right the fuck off his head midair. That's how hard he got hit. Continued to play, balled out. Utes get the win. But for me today, the rest of the day, I think TCU is going to win this game. Kansas State is very good. I think TCU is a pretty damn good team. I don't know if I like their chances when it comes playoff time. I think they win. I think Georgia wins. I think LSU covers because 17.5 is a lot of fucking points. But I think Georgia wins. Michigan, they should win. I don't know if they'll cover. They might. And then the Clemson, North Carolina game, I could give two shits about. Clemson's not sneaking their way in. I would not mind seeing North Carolina win just because fuck Dabo Swinney
All right.
and his terrible dances.
I guess other big news there in college football is word coming out about Deion.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had heard about Deion possibly going to Colorado.
Yeah, I've been keeping the socials updated. I don't know that it's absolutely confirmed. I haven't seen anything recently, but very early this morning I saw that they were finalizing the deal for him to become the next head coach of Colorado. Which honestly, I thought that this is something that could happen here in the next couple years, not necessarily to Colorado, but the next couple years. But I thought that what Deion was doing there for an HBCU and stuff like that was more of his calling card type thing. Is that he doesn't need to play for a big program necessarily, that he's going to make a big program and make it prime time on his own. And so it kind of, props to Deion for what he's doing, and that's real cool. But I almost liked that sort of,
like, I'm gonna do it my way, or I'm gonna get the number one fucking recruit in the country, not position, like the number one recruit in the country to come to a HBCU who's not gonna have a chance to compete for a national title on the grand stage and be on fucking TV every weekend.
Yeah,
like, that was a huge power move.
It makes me sad to kind of see that he's going to be departing, and realistically, I think it won't necessarily set the school back in the grand scheme. I mean, I think they're in a better spot than they've been in a long time. But realistically, you have people committing there because of Deion and everything that he's bringing to that school, and I think you're going to have guys either decommit or transfer now.
Yeah, so there will absolutely, Travis Hunter is gonna leave fucking Jackson State. Like, there's no way you go there to get coached by Prime, the best fucking corner that's probably ever played in the NFL. That's why you take that scholarship down there. He's gone. I don't know if he goes to Colorado though. Why would he go to Colorado? Is he gonna chase Deion?
I mean, he followed Deion before, so
yeah. But now you're not doing something that stands out. Now you're just transferring and going to a normal ass school. And Colorado stinks. They're fucking terrible. They're not good. Like, he could go anywhere. He's a 5-star recruit, best recruit in the country, goes anywhere, an instant impact player. Everybody now knows who he is. And then you go and go play for Alabama or Ohio State, somewhere like that. So now you're on TV every goddamn week. And I'm going to pop these up here. So yeah, Utah did do us a solid. And then I don't think so. Listen, I love Champ. Champ's was a stud. Love Champ Bailey. Give me Deion over Champ.
Maybe that's something that we start to look at more in the offseason, like the NFL greatest position players of all time.
Oh, I would love
there are good arguments at cornerback. Without thinking about it, I would put Deion definitely in the top 5. I'd have to really sit down and look at a list to make sure I'm not forgetting any of the greats out there.
It's just so hard for me to go back and look like. I can't go back and look like a Night Train Lane. Like, I can watch, but the game is so drastically different.
Yeah.
Like, Deion was still playing the brand of football that I know they're still somewhat being played, even though it was a little more physical back then.
I think the
old timer guys are tough.
The question with Deion is it, are you getting too attached to Deion, the persona, and the offensive player and the defensive player and the multi-sport athlete and stuff like that, or is it just pure cornerback play? And that's where I really have to get into the more nitty-gritty of it.
That's very true. Like, Deion did one of many things.
He's one of the most exciting professional sports athletes of all time, I would say.
One of the greatest athletes of all time.
Yeah.
Like, he's right up there. Jesse Owens, fucking Bo Jackson. Like, Deion was doing that shit too. Like, he's amazing. I don't think Colorado's a good idea. I would have liked to see him go to Jackson State. But if he's going to leave Jackson State, he should have gone to a Florida school. My opinion, it makes way more sense. He could fucking take a UCF, a USF, one of those teams and build out a really good, dominant fucking program. Because kids in Florida are going to want to go play with God for Dion in a Florida school. That would have made more sense to me. Colorado is going to be great. His sons are going to love Cherry Creek because I guarantee that's where they're going to go to fucking school because that's where all the rich kids who are good fucking athletes go is Cherry Creek. That's where McCaffrey went when they lived there. But, you know, I would have rather seen him stay or go to Florida school. Colorado didn't make sense to me.
Colorado is definitely an interesting choice. And like you said, staying in Florida, I mean, Florida is such a big recruitment state. Same with like Texas and you know, some of those southern states. They're great for recruitment. You've got so many good players right there in-house that it's really easy to keep them there.
You very rarely have to leave state to go find guys.
Yeah. So him leaving to go to Colorado of all places is very interesting. I mean, it'll be fun to watch, I suppose, and see how he can benefit that team. I'm sure that you will see an uptick in recruits from him going there. But yeah, it makes a little bit less sense as to why he's going there versus somewhere else.
All right.
I was too young to watch Sanders, but from what I hear and seen, he wouldn't get in there and tackle like Champ. So that's why I believe he was the better corner. Which is
okay. So I agree with that. Champ was better help in run support. Dion was a pure cover corner. That's all he did. Like you could not break away from Dion. He was stuck to your ass. But not a great tackler. Yeah, sure. But in today's NFL, give me the guy who is a pure man-to-man press cover corner. Give me that guy. But all right. Anything else college football wise before we move on? And I think we're getting ready to hop over in the NFL.
Yeah, I think we're ready to go.
All right. Let's do it. Let's hop into the NFL. You want to hit a recap? That is not the right fucking thing. Recap of Thursday night before we move on into picking our other games.
Sure. Yeah. So you and I were both on the Bills for this one. Bills versus Patriots. And one of the things that I kind of had in my assessment of the game prior was that a lot of people were talking about how it was like Mac Jones's best
Coming
game
out
of
party.
the year.
Yeah.
His you know, one of his best games that he's had in his short career versus Minnesota the week prior. And as a Minnesota diehard, I was throwing up the flag saying, hey, Minnesota makes backup quarterbacks look like starters. We make a lot of lower tier quarterbacks look like starters with the way that our pass defense is performing. Don't read into that too much. And I think we saw that play out versus a very good Bills defense. Mac just did not have himself a very good game. You know, getting upset on the sideline at coordinators, which was interesting to see.
At the defensive coordinator? Oh, wait, no, that's his offensive coordinator.
It's tough to figure that out because you know, you have a D coordinator calling the
run the fucking ball or stop running the fucking ball.
Yeah, it's not working. But I mean, Mac, he was 22 of 36, but less than 200 yards, only 195, averaging 5.4 yards and only one tutty. Just not a great passing attack. And they don't have a star-studded group of receivers there. No. You know, it was basically a trick play that they were able to get that touchdown on to Marcus
Parker.
Jones.
I think Devontae Parker is starting to come on, but he's not. I don't think he'll ever be a one. I think he is a mid-tier 2.
Maybe a mid-tier 2. I mean, even this game,
maybe bottom end
good of a game.
Like mid-tier 2 and a bottom end 2. That's his range. Like he is not.
I was never high on Devontae. I thought that he had a whole bunch of potential, but was never really living up to it, even in the college ranks. But I mean, like, you know, on Thursday, he was only 2 catches for 16 yards. You know, he didn't even have that special of a game. Like I said, the Marcus Jones touchdown, that definitely was more of a trick play. You know, a pretty long, a 48-yard pass for catch for him. But I mean, you know what that team is? It's Ramondre Stevenson. They're very one-faceted. That's like the one offensive weapon that they have, and it's because Belichick runs run-heavy offenses. You know, Jacoby Myers is a nice piece. Nelson Aguilar can be a nice piece at times. Devontae Parker can be a nice piece at times. Kendrick Bourne can be a nice piece, but nice pieces don't make a good passing offense. none of those guys, when you are a defense game planning against the Patriots, none of them scare you. So, okay, get pressure on Mac Jones and stop Ramondre Stevenson, and you probably got this one in the bag. And that's basically what we saw. So the
exactly
New
what
England
we
offense
saw.
just
That was
does not scare
the
me,
fucking tease.
What was more surprising for me is that we're seeing a lot more out of James Cook for Buffalo. He has saw a lot more work last week, and then this week, 14 carries, 68 or 64 yards, excuse me. And in the passing game, 6 catches for 41 yards. So he's
Zach Moss is shipped out. Zach Moss
Mm-hmm.
is shipped out. He is now the number 2 back. Naheem Hines, who they brought in as part of the trade, has basically exclusively been used on special teams in return. That has really improved that fucking Bills return game.
Yeah.
But I don't. Cook is kind of carving out his role now.
Yeah, Naheem Hines is like a part-time third down back where he got a reception for 21 yards, and it was a big reception because it got him a first down. But Naheem Hines' role is much less than I was kind of expecting it to be, though.
I thought it'd be bigger as well.
On special teams, it is showing up. And James Cook is definitely fitting in that second back type of role, kind of change of pace to what Singletary can do. Singletary had himself a decent game too. 13 rushes for 51 yards and a tutty.
Not bad. So it's like 4.6 yards per carry and a touchdown.
3.9 is what they got him at.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a different type of shape to that Bills running room. I wasn't expecting James Cook, younger brother of Dalvin Cook. I obviously paid attention to him coming out of the draft. I was hoping the best for him, but I never saw, an in between the tackles type of runner. It was definitely more of that third down back, receiving back type of guy or outside run type of guy. But he's doing a little bit more now after, starting off his career, his first rush ever with a fumble early on in the year.
That was tough.
So it's nice to kind of see him getting mixed in there a little bit. And I think that's, the Bills are going to start to use Singletary and Cook a little bit more as a dual threat tandem there because they need to become a little bit more diverse. Josh Allen has had obviously a bit of a wonky past month. We get here into December and I'm expecting him to pick things up and only threw 223 yards in this game for 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So that's a good sign that there's no interceptions, but he did have a fumble, which the offensive line, David Kessenberry was starting at left tackle for the Bills, which you saw was a big detriment to them. New England's got a great pass rush, so he was under a lot of pressure, and still, despite that, was only gave up that one fumble, and that's what we've seen from Josh Allen that has really been hurting the Bills lately. Is he's been having a lot of untimely, uncharacteristic turnovers. So.
And Josh made a couple of bad decisions in this game. Mm-hmm. One of the bad decisions that Josh made turned into a touchdown. Like, there's no way that Josh should have thrown that fucking ball where he is like tiptoeing to stay in bounds just barely. The defender gave up thinking that Josh was going to go out of bounds. That's the only reason it was a touchdown. So Josh still made a really poor decision. It just fucking worked out in his favor this time. He has been a little careless with the ball, but it didn't matter in this game. We talked about that. We put out the stuff before. The Patriots did not have the offense to keep up with the Bills. Their numbers were inflated off of you guys because you guys play that really interesting brand of bend don't break where you're giving up a shitload of yards.
Thank you. Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't want to bury your boys, but yeah, it's this is kind of a foregone conclusion. The Bills still have some work to do. Josh needs to get healthy. I still don't love his decision making, even when it works out. A bad decision is a bad decision. Sometimes things just get lucky. And that's kind of the way I felt a little bit about that last game. So, yeah. But they got the win. We were right. Bills -4. It was that was pretty simple for me. I said in my analysis, this is at least a touchdown game. Ended up being 10 points, right? 14.
It was 24-10, so a 14-point win.
14 point, yeah. All right. That elbow better each week. Yeah, well, we'll see. So there's our comment. Yeah, the UCL is going to be tough. It's going to bother him probably for the duration of the year. He is going to need some rest in the offseason for sure. I would not expect him to throw at all in the offseason until maybe training camp to deal with the UCL, because this is not the first time he's injured it either. But let's go ahead, and I'm going to pop up our record from last week before we start diving into the rest of the picks for this week.
All righty.
All right, so we started out pretty good last week. We had a good morning slate. Now, I know some of these are a little out of order just because we had callers and we were doing some different things. Afternoon games were tough, though. Titans did not show up the way I thought they would. I'm never betting on the Broncos ever again. I don't understand why we picked the Broncos to win a fucking game.
Yeah.
That, like,
it's a tough one.
I think during the show, during 100, we even tried to talk ourselves out of doing it. But we still found a way to go with the Broncos -1. And that is a little foreshadowing for today. I will not be talking about the Broncos. Chargers missed. Niners, that stunk. Colts, I thought they had a chance. They really didn't. Poor coaching decisions at the end of the game there. And then Seahawks. Geno, I started to become a believer, and now I'm not sure where I'm at on Geno again, which is frustrating. But overall, 10-6 in the week. I'm now 178-2. You're 106, 72-2. Any of those things that we just flat out, why do we do that? For me, it's the Broncos. I know we shouldn't have fucking done that. Like, why did we pick the Broncos to win a game?
Broncos are a tough
and
one.
cover.
That's one that we should have considered a little bit better. I mean, so I'll take a bit of a pass on that one. I feel like I'm going to select the Broncos more often than I should, just for the old lady. But it really shouldn't be an excuse. We should be smarter than that. Either way, we're both hitting pretty well. If I just ran the numbers correct, not including this Bills game that happened on Thursday, you're at a 55%, a little over 55% win rate, and I'm at just a little over 58%. So, which
listen,
last week,
boys.
I was in the 63%.
Yeah, last week you were killing it, and then the 10-6 was not great.
Yeah. I mean, not bad. I mean, we're still hitting well above 50% right now, so that's pretty good.
We are hitting right now at professional gambler numbers. I'm at 55. You're at 57. 55 is the lowest you can go, and you don't want to be much over 60, because then I think your numbers are a little inflated and some interesting things can happen. You'll lose big bets because you think you're on a heater. So we're right in that range where we want to be, where we kind of expected to be. So,
yeah.
All right.
I guess so. And I've only done one round robin in my whole life, but I suppose that if you have the change to toss around, and you're going to be picking all of our games exactly how we pick them in a round robin format, you probably have a good chance of making some decent money with our winning percentage.
Yeah, the round robin would be good. So it depends on how many you do, how many different combinations you can do. Round robin would be good because we've hit since I think Fade Mike week was week 4. Since then we've been on a pretty goddamn good roll. If you were playing round robins, you'd have probably made a little chunk of change off of us. I know I made some money over the last couple of weeks. Thanksgiving hit. I hit fucking Mike White going gangbusters. And then there was another one. Which was Jalen Hurts fucking came through for me. So I've hit some pretty good bets. My book's at a little over $500 right now. I'm going to find some more bets for you guys to win this weekend. But I'll go ahead and get rid of this. And are we ready to start diving into the picks for the rest of the week?
Yeah, I'm ready to go, man.
Let's do it.
All righty. So starting off, we will go with, that's not updated. Un momento, por favor. I was looking at last week's scores. All right. So we have the Steelers and the Falcons being played in Atlanta. The line currently, according to Caesars, is even 42.5 over under. This is an interesting one because the Steelers, not fantastic, but I'll throw out some stuff for you here. So Pittsburgh has a 14-2-1 all-time record versus Atlanta, which is their best record versus any team that they've played a minimum of 10 times. So are consistently pretty good against Atlanta. Atlanta is 1-5 against the spread over their last 6. And remember, they started off the season 6-0. So they were a really good spread betting team early on. And so far recently, you're wanting to kind of fade them a little bit.
Opposite fucking direction there, yeah.
We are seeing a bit of an uptick from Kenny Pickett now that he's getting a little more settled in. You know, he started off his first couple games with a ton of picks, not looking great. He's getting better. He's had 0 interceptions over the past 3 games, which is definitely a positive to see for the Pittsburgh fans, but he's not doing anything too crazy offensively otherwise. So he still needs to mature into that position a little bit. Also, something to note here is that Pittsburgh is now going to be on back-to-back road games, and they're coming off of a short week.
So that was going to be my point here.
That's a difficult one coming into Atlanta on an even game here. So it is definitely a pick 'em here. Where you got this one, Mike?
So for me, Kenny Pickett has played better, but Kenny Pickett has not really ever had to deal with short prep time in his NFL career, back-to-back road games, and I don't necessarily like that for Kenny Pickett and that Pittsburgh offense. Now, he is starting to really kind of click with your boy Pickens, who has looked like probably the best wide receiver in this. No, Olave's been good, but Garrett Wilson.
Your boy Garrett Wilson is looking good too.
Well,
the Ohio guys are showing out.
He had somebody who could throw him the fucking ball, but we're not talking about that just yet. I don't like the short week as a rookie on the road, back-to-back road games. That's tough for me. Atlanta's done a good job. They run the ball well. I still am confused about what the fuck they're trying to do with Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, I really so I'm going to be taking Falcons money line. But
I am as well. I'm going Falcons money line, but I'm still.
A big part of me wants the Falcons to lose so we can see Ritter get in there because I think we're in prime Ritter territory. We're in Ritter season right now for them to do a replacement of Mariota. Another big note is that Cordell Patterson is back for those Falcons, and he's looking good. I believe he just had another kick return a week or 2 ago.
Set the record for most kick returns in NFL history.
Yep. So that's a big spark to their special teams and offense. And on the flip side, you have the Steelers and Najee Harris, and I do not believe Najee is going to be playing, and that could actually be a benefit to that team because Najee hasn't looked great this year. A lot of the woes there in Pittsburgh is around that offensive line, but I think the Najee Harris is becoming a little bit more of a bust. I mean, only 585 yards this year and 4 tutties on 158 carries.
Yeah, the Najee truthers are not excited right now. They are starting to realize that Najee's not that guy. Najee has a problem with vision, and it doesn't help that his line is in his lap on 30% of his touches, getting their asses kicked, getting pushed back. So it's going to be an interesting game. This is a game that I would probably steer away from if you're trying to look for a parlay. I am taking the Falcons on the money line. I just don't. Rookie quarterbacks on short weeks tend to not perform very well. That is a big thing. And we've already seen Kenny Pickett struggle with the appropriate amount of preparation. So I'm going Atlanta money line.
It sounds good. All right. Our next one is kind of a fun one for me. We have the Packers and the Bears being played in Chicago. The line is currently Green Bay -3, over under of 44.5. So some notes for this. Aaron Rodgers has that rib injury from last week, which actually knocked him out of the game. It is not super bad, apparently. So he's still expected to play. He also is nursing that broken thumb still. And I guess he wants to continue to play until they are statistically eliminated. And then we can start seeing a little bit more Jordan Love like we did last week. That statistical elimination could happen as early as this weekend with a Vikings win and a Detroit loss. So something to watch there. On the flip side, Justin Fields has that AC joint in his non-throwing shoulder. 2 weeks removed from that, he's no longer on the injury report or being designated on the injury report and is expected to play. The problem is that everything that I've seen, I've looked into this more and more, trying to figure out what's going on with this AC joint, and all of the professional doctors that report for NFL say an AC joint does not heal in 2 weeks.
No, it doesn't heal ever. The only way you heal an AC joint is through surgery. However, you do not have to have surgery. I've had buddies who have, popped their AC joint, and what you do is you rest, you let all the swelling and all the things come down, and then what you do is you build up muscle and strength around it. You don't have to fix the AC joint.
Yeah,
It's not one of those things that's a complete detriment to your career, but the
Mhm.
only way to fix the damn thing is through surgery. That's why guys I knew who had it opted to not get the surgery. They're just like, I'm just gonna fucking rest, rehab, and then build back strength.
Yeah. And that now the saving grace, I suppose, is that it's not in his throwing shoulder. The problem is that Justin Fields has been so dynamic in this latter part of the year because of his running capability, which means he's going to be taking hits on that shoulder. It's not going away. It can be an issue. It could potentially continue to knock him out of games if he takes big hits.
Slide, Justin. Fucking slide. I get it. You're shifty. You're dynamic. Get your yards and get the fuck down.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting there to kind of see what happens with Fields. I think both those quarterbacks have the potential of getting knocked out of the game depending on how bad they get hit.
Well, was it on episode 100? I talked about the fact that there's a good chance that we're going to see Aaron Rodgers get hurt with the thumb, or he's going to go out with an injury, and we're going to see Kevin Love, Jesus Christ, Jordan Love. Yeah, Jordan Love hop into the game, and this will be that kind of time where we start maybe talking about Jordan Love stepping into a role, kind of like Aaron had. Was that on 100, or was I talking to somebody else?
I mean, it's been a little bit more of a theme, but especially in episode 100, we were talking about, because that's when the news really broke about his thumb being broken and why he's always having it taped up. And with the way the Packers season is going, it's not looking great for them. Obviously, they are basically eliminated.
They're done.
And they even if they win out, it is tough for them to find themselves in the playoffs.
They need a ton of help, even if they win out.
Yeah.
But
so with the way that Rodgers has acted this year and throughout his whole career, if I say so myself, as a bit of a bitch, I could see him being like, okay, well, now I've got no reason to play anymore. Go ahead and play the kid type thing. And Love hasn't looked atrocious, but he's been in garbage time. So I'm not reading a whole lot into that. Everything that I've seen otherwise in preseason hasn't looked phenomenal with this kid. So go ahead and play him and let
now winds could be a factor. I've got the weather reports pulled up. So earlier in the week, they're saying low to mid 30s, winds 15 to 20 miles an hour. Now gusts are expected to be up to 30. So that is not going to help the passing game either. I don't know who that lends itself more to, though.
I think it lends it more to the Bears just because they're used to running the ball. Their team is definitely predicated around running the ball. Rodgers, they've had a little bit more of a connection with Christian Watson recently, and it's been mostly the deep downfield passing. That's really what you have to watch for from that Packers offense. Now, Green Bay is 7-0 straight up and against the spread versus Chicago under LaFleur, so they have a long history of winning versus the Bears. Green Bay played Chicago at home in Green Bay in week 2. They won 27-10. Though if we go all the way back, I remember watching that game.
The very drastically different Bears team that they're playing now, though.
Absolutely. Well, both teams are definitely different, but that Bears team actually was moving the ball successfully on the ground versus the Packers. It didn't really start to break apart more until the second half. It was a much closer game than that 27-10 final. And the Bears have only gotten better at running the ball, and I feel like the Packers have kind of shown more of their weaknesses as the year has gone along. I mean, they have lost 8 of their last 9, and including 5 straight, but Green Bay has lost 7 of their past 9, and they failed to cover any of those 7 of 9. So they also have, shown those weaknesses. I'm going with the Bears +3 on this one.
God damn it, man. I can't catch up if we keep taking the same goddamn bets. Because I'm taking the Bears plus the points as well. This is the last time that the Bears and the Packers will play inside of Soldier Field. There is going to be some emotions inside that stadium. Bears are going to want to go out and prove that they are improving. Justin Fields being back, being healthy enough to play is going to be a big fucking deal. And with the weather reports, I wasn't sure because they have what was supposed to be a 2-headed monster at running back up there in Green Bay, which has not been. So you kind of swayed me. I'm going to give the edge to the Bears in the running game, and with the weather being somewhat of a factor on the passing game, Bears +3.
This is definitely more of a hope for me than a feel good about it, because the Packers do have the Bears number. The Bears offense
Aaron Rodgers fucking owns the Bears. He's screaming at their fans, "I own you!" Like,
and the Bears team is definitely predicated on that run, and the biggest part of their run game is their quarterback, and he's injured, and that could be a big time detriment. And the Packers pass game has gotten better the past couple of weeks with the emergence of Christian Watson. It has opened things up a little bit more for your Lazards and things like that. That being said, I don't have faith in either team really, and I'm more so just hoping that the Bears are able to play a much more competitive game than they did before, especially playing at home, and since they've figured out their run game a little bit better. So I'm not saying the Bears win, but I do think that with the 3 points that they have a chance of covering this one.
All right.
Now, if it was 3 and a hook, I'd be feel much better about it.
Yeah. All right. If I got the extra, if I got the hook, I'd feel I could see a push here, but
yeah. All right. Let's see here, looking at my notes. All right, so next game, we have the Jaguars and the Lions being played in Detroit. The line for this one, according to Caesars, also is even, over under of 51 points. Jacksonville is 4-7 against the spread. Detroit is 7-4 against the spread. The spreads don't matter in this one, though, because it is an even line as of right now. Jacksonville has lost 21 of their past 22 on the road, though. So not a very good history there, but this team is definitely turning themselves around. Got a big win last week versus the Ravens. You saw Trevor Lawrence. That was kind of his coming out party, especially in the fourth quarter. He had a phenomenal fourth quarter. The past 3 games, Trevor Lawrence has had a 77% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He is starting to kind of look like that first overall pick that we saw from a couple years ago. That Jaguars team is definitely starting to turn themselves around. Etienne is going to be playing in this one. Peterson has come out and said that he's going to be playing. The Lions, they have played good recently too. They've had a lot of close, scrappy games, including that Thanksgiving game against the Bills, who we both, are definitely on the Bills being a good team. And the way that the Lions were able to play them close and tight down to the end, definitely proud of those Lions being able to do that. So this is an interesting one because the home field advantage for Detroit doesn't really feel like much of a home field advantage. It almost feels like it helps some of those teams that have quicker, faster players like an Etienne. They come up there and get on that fast turf. Where are you leaning on this one, Mike? I was really hoping that we were going to have a bit of a spread here that would help me out.
So I like what the Lions are doing. I really am excited about the future and how they can continue to build on this, but I don't think that they're there yet. Trevor Lawrence looked like a stud. Both of these teams can score. They absolutely can. I don't think either one of us would have expected to say that. Oh, we expect the Jags and the Lions to score a lot of points this year. I mean, the over/under on this game was 51. That's a lot of fucking points. Like, playing in the dome, Etienne back. I'm gonna give the edge to the Jags here. This is another one that this is a tough call for me because I love what Jamal Williams is doing, being a leader for that team. He's been fantastic for them recently. This just feels like a game that the Lions think they can win, and then they won't. Like, there are games that they've won that we thought that they should not have won, and the games that we think that they should win, they're not winning. And that's the way I feel about this game right now. So I'm going to take the Jags on the money line here.
And see, I want to go opposite of you just to kind of help our spread get a little bit different, but I'm going to go with the Jags. Not only do I think that the Jags are a little bit better right now, they're a little bit hot right now based on the play of Trevor Lawrence. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to have himself a big game. I in my gut, I'm feeling like he's going to have himself a big game, and that'll help Detroit. But Jags, I think, are just on a little bit of a heater. I think them coming up there and playing on that fast turf is going to help them. And then, obviously, the Lions losing helps lock in my Vikings for a playoff spot and eliminates the Packers. That's multiple pros for me picking these Jags here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Jags on this one, money line.
All right. So we have not disagreed on any bet yet.
Not yet. All right. So next coming up, we have the Commies at the Giants in New Jersey. The line is currently Washington -2, over under of 40.5. So far this year, the Giants are 8-3 against the spread. Washington, however, has the best record in the NFL since week 6 at 6-1. Ever since Heineke has come in, they've been on a bit of a tear. I've brought up this stat kind of the past several weeks, but Heineke is 11-2-1 against the spread when he's been playing as a starter in his past 14 games. And this year he is 5-0-1 as a starter against the spread. So Heineke has definitely been the big boost to this Commies team. We keep on talking about it, how he's a better quarterback and a better fit than Carson Wentz up there. And on the flip side, the Giants have lost 3 of their past 4 after that super strong start to their year. Losing, Wan'Dale Robinson and stuff like that has hurt them a little bit more than expected, or more than they'd probably like to admit. This Giants team is definitely focused on that run game. And the Commanders are kind of becoming a little bit more of a above average team that can scare some people. I mean, obviously they got that big win against Philly, but they're more well-rounded on both sides of the ball than the Giants are. I think the Giants are becoming a little bit more one-dimensional, having to rely a lot on Saquon there. Who, again, Saquon having a phenomenal year, 224 carries and just under 1,000 yards at 992 and 7 tutties, not to mention his effectiveness in the pass game. So this is a bit of a tough one for me with Washington -2. I think I'm leaning towards the Giants plus the points on this one. Even though I think the Commanders will win this game, and I wish it was a little bit more than -2. But I'm not locked in on that yet. Where are you at on this, Mike? Maybe you'll sway me.
So the Commanders are a really cool story, and I love Taylor Heineke and the things that they're doing. They have a lot of really cool stories going on, and they also have a lot of really bad stories going on, especially when you talk about the ownership group. They can't do anything right. They can't get a Sean Taylor fucking statue, or I don't know what the fuck they were trying to do. This feels like a game to me where Brian Daboll sits his team down and said, "Listen, guys, we started out really good. We're not playing good football right now. We're gonna figure out some changes. We're gonna make some changes." They still need a ton of help in the passing game. They don't have any fucking receivers. In my gut, I feel like Giants home dogs when they have a winning record is interesting to me. I like Heineke. I like what the Commanders are doing. But for me, this feels like a Giants win. I'm not even going to lay the points. I'm going to take the upset here. I'm going Giants on the money line. I think that they will get it figured out. Daboll is a fantastic coach. They have been scuffling. There's going to be some changes that happen with that offense to help, diversify the things that they're doing. Because Saquon has had a great year, but he cannot be the entire team. This is kind of one of my little outliers for the week, but I'm going Giants on the money line here.
Okay. And this is a real tight divisional race here in the NFC East. So Philly's obviously got the lead there at 10-1, Cowboys 8-3, but then right behind them you have the Giants in third at 7-4 and the Commanders at 7-5 in fourth. So it is a very tight race. Divisional games always played really close, which is why this -2 line kind of makes sense. And the Commanders are on a win streak here, three wins versus the Giants, who have lost 2 straight. So it is it's a tough one. I think I'm going to take the Giants, but I'm going to take the points with it.
Giants +2. I'm going Giants money line. All right.
Next up, we have the Titans and the Eagles being played in Philly. The line is currently Philly -4.5, over under of 44. And I think that this is another one of those games that Philly is going to possibly have a tough time here. I know we called, or at least I talked about how the Commanders could get that win versus Philly, and that could be their one loss. Well, this is another opportunity for the Eagles, I think, to take another L. And it just kind of depends on what type of Titans team we see trotted out there. So Tennessee, they're averaging 84.5 opponent rushing yards per game, which is third in the NFL. They're stopping the run pretty well, which is meaning that Philly's going to have to lean on that pass game, which has been fine for them this year. Hurts has looked great. They got a lot of good receivers up there. Vrabel, he's 13-3 against the spread and 11-5 straight up as a 4 or more point underdog. So in his career, he has done well against the spread there. And Tennessee has actually covered 5 straight on the road. This Eagles team, obviously, best record in the NFL still at 10-1. They've had a lot more close games recently. The thing kind of to pay attention is that narrative around the Eagles was that their rush defense is really what has hurt them, and you're going up against Derrick Henry. That is what this Titans team revolves around, is can we get Derrick Henry going? And that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. If Derrick Henry gets started to a good game, which he starts slow, but he continues, those yards per carry just increase throughout the entire game. If they are able to get those chunk yardages from him, that'll open up a little bit more for Mariota, not Mariota, for Tannehill. I get
kicking about a good 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, get those guys confused a little bit. But for Tannehill, it'll open things up a little bit more. They don't have a ton of passing game there with Tennessee, but it really is predicated on whether or not you get Derrick Henry going and getting those big chunk yardages against the Eagles. So for me, I'm thinking I'm going to actually take Titans plus the points here. I think Philly probably still ekes out a win, but I'm going to take Titans plus the points on this one.
Yeah, this feels like a close game to me. 4.5 is more than I expect. I see this as a 3-point game because the Titans are really good at running the ball. Now, we've seen the Eagles go out and they've made some moves to go in and sign guys like Linval Joseph and then Ndamukong Suh to try to improve that run game or that run defense. And obviously they have the best record. They want to go in as a number 1 seed. But Derrick Henry is starting to come on. And to me, this has a close game feel to it. And if we're talking about a close game, I'm talking 3 points. So I got to take the Titans plus 4.5 because I think Vegas is giving me too many there. That's just the smart bet. I think the Eagles probably will win this game, but I think they win this game by 3. So Titans plus 4.5 is what makes sense to me.
All right. And next up, we have the Broncos and the Ravens. We have a comment here. Russ is awful. I think we all are in agreement on that. This is a Broncos team that is going into Baltimore facing the 7-4 Ravens. The line is currently Baltimore minus 9.5, over under of 39.5, another low over under. That is definitely attributed to something that we talk about every week when we talk about the Broncos. They do not like putting up points, but their defense is still pretty stout. Denver is averaging 14.3 points per game, which is very low. But Baltimore, they're 0-5 against the spread as a 7 or more point favorite since 2021. They have been underwhelming, and they had that loss last week to Jacksonville, which is something that I think we wouldn't have been talking about a year ago, or maybe even at the beginning of the season, is Jacksonville winning games against Baltimore, which is pretty crazy. Also with Denver, the under is 10-1 this season, which if you're wanting something to bet on with this game, maybe bet the under. 39.5 seems like a little bit much, and that's expecting the Ravens to show up and put some more points on the board versus a pretty stout Denver defense. But man, this is just a bad Broncos team. We really need to be on the lookout for Hackett to be fired. We've talked about it a lot.
It will be done before the season because they have the new rules where as soon as you fire a coach, you can go ahead and start your coaching search process towards the last 4 weeks of the season. We're very quickly approaching that. And
it just makes, gone. He's awful. It makes too much sense. So Hackett comes in, does terrible. He's already had to give up play calling duties. He's already had to game management, another coach. Assignments, bring another coach to game manage, tell him when to take timeouts and stuff like that. This is an ownership group in the Waltons that they did not hire Hackett. This was the previous group that hired him, and then the team was sold. Yeah. So that management group is going to want to bring in their own guy, and they're just going to kind of ride the season and see what happened with Hackett, and maybe they find some fire. Obviously, it's not there. All right. But on top of that, Russ has just been awful. He has not looked good at all.
Russ could fuck up boiling water right now. He can't cook for shit. Like,
I mean, it's funny when it's a story about how it's his birthday and Ciara has, invited the whole team and less than half the players show up. There ain't that support.
So apparently it was about half. But I don't know how much credence I give into that. Russ is new. I don't know how much relationship he's built yet.
Yeah, but I mean, it's probably a star-studded birthday, and people like to be around stars. We'll drop it back to this one. You have a backup defensive lineman getting in his face last game and getting pissed off. A name that I don't even recall because it's a backup lineman, but it's the first time that people nationally talked about him last week because this dude was pissed off. Russ has lost the team. I don't expect very many players to really be on his side on that sideline because I think players are out there, they're earning a paycheck based on whether they win or lose and how the team performs around them. And when your most important position, quarterback, is playing so terribly despite having offensive weapons and your head coach is terrible, like, you've lost the team, you lost the locker room. It's just a terrible situation there. Now, Baltimore minus 9.5 on this game is too big of a spread for me.
Too fucking many. Baltimore ain't good either.
The offense has been playing not that great. They lose the one last week to Jacksonville, which I believe we called. That I don't know, man. I'm definitely picking the Ravens to win this game, but it's got to be money line for me, just because that Broncos defense is so stout that I don't know that there's going to be that big of a spread between the two. Unless somehow the Ravens offense shows up and is able to put up more points on this Broncos team than we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I'm hammering Ravens money line as well. 9.5 is way too many. But the Broncos are terrible. I expect the Ravens to get a bounce back win. They lost the game last week to Jacksonville. They're not happy about. They are scuffling right now, and the fact that they continue to lose and the Cincinnati Bengals are up and down still gives the fucking Browns hope that they could potentially even win the goddamn division at this point, which is insane to me considering where we were. You're right. We don't know what he was talking about exactly.
Yeah, but between the defensive lineman and Russ on the sidelines, but it seemed fairly obvious what was going on there. I mean, it's an assumption, sure, but it's a pretty heavy assumption.
Yeah, it's the Ravens money line. This is an easy bet. I don't think they can. I don't know if they can cover. They might be able to cover considering how bad the Broncos offense is. But Ravens on the money line. I'm not picking I don't know that I'm picking the Broncos again this year. I don't care who maybe against the Texans, but I don't think they play the Texans this year. So Ravens money line, easy.
All righty. Next up, we have the Seahawks playing the Rams in Inglewood. The line is Seattle -7, over under a 41. Matt Stafford has clear concussion protocol. He is also not playing this game. McVay's come out and said that he is not going to be playing him. This is a very beat up, bad Rams team. Donald not playing in this game either.
Yeah, their season's over.
Absolutely.
The Rams are done. Their season's
Allen
over.
Robinson.
They're not playing their starting quarterback that they traded for. They're not playing the best defensive player that the majority of us in our age bracket have probably ever seen in Aaron Donald. I would say he's the greatest defender I've ever got to watch with my own two eyes because I didn't get to watch Lawrence Taylor. And he's not playing. They can't figure out the run game. They have, I think, two quarterbacks probably going to play in this game for them.
Yeah, Wolford is going to start, and Perkins is ready to go. I think Perkins has more upside than Wolford, and it is looking like it could be both of those guys getting time to play. But, God, it's just the craziest Super Bowl hangover I think that we've ever seen from this Rams team. I realistically, I think that this could be, like, Donald was close to retirement. I could see him calling it after this. McVay had a TV deal basically lined up and was potentially going to be out the door. I could see him hanging it up after this. The hole that this Rams team is in because of the fuck them picks mentality. I mean, they sold their souls and it worked, but at this point, this team is possibly a couple years away from being competitive. Stafford's not getting any younger.
No. And he hasn't looked good have this
Cooper
year,
Kupp
and
back,
he really wasn't great last year either.
Towards the end of the year, he definitely started to show some struggles and a lot more interceptions. He was a lot better in the beginning of the year, but I mean, this team, it's a lot of big name veterans and stuff like that they were really leaning on. But they're just in such a hole that I don't see it turning around anytime soon. And I don't know how many guys are going to want to stick around to see that through.
Yeah, Father Time catches up with everybody. He's fucking undefeated, and the Rams are starting to realize that. Like, they have a lot of old guys who have massive names, but the production doesn't match the name, doesn't match the contracts anymore. Their most important position is going to be played by two different people, neither one who are very good. Their best defensive players not playing in this game. This is Seahawks. Easy for me. And I think I'm going to actually take them to cover. I think they can beat them by 10. I really do. Like, they're good enough to beat them by 10.
I'm doing the same. I'm Seahawks -7. Seahawks have had a little bit of a rougher patch recently, but it's because the teams that they're playing have actually played up a little bit better. I mean, you saw, Raiders and stuff like that playing a little bit better. It's Seahawks -7 for me. I think that they easily could win by a touchdown. The offense is just depleted for the Rams team. Robinson out, Kupp out. You are relying on Cam Akers as your running back now. Who knows who's playing quarterback? The offensive line is absolutely terrible. Yeah. And on the flip side, Rams defense hasn't been playing that good. Best defender out. Jalen Ramsey has not looked good this year. Who else do you got? Not a whole lot of nothing. And the Seahawks offense has been driving really well. Geno has had a great year. Kenneth Walker has looked great. You still have DK Metcalf out there. It's just too much on that Seattle team compared to this Rams team, which is essentially given up. I mean, they've given up.
They punted on the season. It's over. There's a reason that Stafford's not playing in this game. He's past concussion protocol. He is cleared to play, still not playing. They're done. Like, it's over. And enjoy the Super Bowl that you had. You're about to be in for a very long rebuild because you don't have picks for the next, fucking decade.
Yeah.
Fuck, them picks worked for a year. I get it. I would sell my soul for a fucking Super Bowl for my Browns. I would fuck them picks for the next decade if I knew that I was going to get one.
Well, we'll get into that here in a little bit because your fuck the picks mentality is going to potentially pay off or not starting this week. But before that, we'll get into a Joe Rockstar game here. We got Joe Rockstar. Let's go Niners. We're going fishing this weekend. Going to stack the fins like a Chinese sloop. All right. We have the Dolphins at the 49ers in Santa Clara. The line is currently San Francisco -4 over under 45.5. This is McDaniel's return game. He's headed back to his old team in the 49ers. Now, Miami, they're on a 5-game win streak, averaging 30.2 points per game, with the opponents averaging 20 points per game. San Francisco, however, on a 4-game win streak, they're averaging 26 points per game, and their opponents are averaging only 10 points per game. Again, they haven't given up second half
score
in a long time. This is going to be a real interesting one because the Dolphins have that high-powered offense. I mean, Tua is 11 passing touchdowns, no interceptions in their win streak. Garoppolo has 7 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions in their win streak. But Miami is also 8-0 whenever Tua plays a full game. That still has been standing true. Dolphins come in with a very high-powered offense, definitely a high-powered passing offense. But the 49ers come in with a solid offense and a very stout defense. They're getting Eric Armstead back this week, which is going to help out that pass rush, which is very dominant. This is going to be a really fun game. It's going to be a fun game to watch because there's a lot of storylines in this game that are going to make it very interesting. Two very good teams. The 49ers have definitely come on the second part of the season. McCaffrey's looking good. The way Debo's playing is looking good. San Francisco -4 might be too much. I think San Francisco wins this game, but
I do too.
Might be too much.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. The Dolphins are surprising me. They've played very well. Tua has played well. He has been incredibly accurate. It's something that we knew about Tua, but he's also been able to stretch the field a little bit more, and he's got guys that can make things happen underneath. This Niners team and this Dolphins team are very similar in the fact that they have playmakers that all you got to do is get the ball in their fucking hand, and some really dynamic things are going to happen. I I give the edge to the Niners in the run game. They are better there in the run game. Christian McCaffrey is better than any back that Miami has. I don't care what Raheem Mostert says on Twitter. Like there's been some back and forth there, but I don't know. This feels like a close game to me because these teams are both very good teams, and I think 4 is too much. I see this as a 3-point game. So with that, I'm going to take Miami plus the points and expect Miami to lose this game by 3. But it still makes a win for me. Miami plus 4. That's just kind of where I'm leaning. I think the Niners are really coming on. The run game is fantastic. That's where they get the edge. That's why they win. But they win in a close game. Give me Miami plus 4.
All right. And being a fan of big time defense and the way that 49ers team has been playing the second half of games, I'm actually just going to go 49ers money line in this one for Joe Rockstar. I think that Miami, despite how well they've been playing, I want to see a big game from that 49ers defense. I want to see that defensive line get after Tua. Tua might get knocked out in this game if his injury woes continue on. And the way that 49ers pass rush has been playing, that defense in general has been playing, I think that they can take it to them, especially there at home. They're familiar with McDaniels in the offense that they're playing, so that defense is going to be well set up to be
That's also vice versa, though. McDaniels is very familiar with what they do.
That's true. But they got different pieces there. They got McCaffrey and stuff that you might not be able to completely envision how they're going to be able to mix in McCaffrey and Debo together and stuff like that. And like I said, yep, Eric Armstead is back on that D line. I'm going to take the 49ers money line. I think that they're going to be able to win this game. I was possibly leaning towards that Dolphins plus the points, but I'll add a little bit of parity between our picks here. I'm going to go 49ers money line in this one.
And this is a pick that we have a little bit different ideas, but we can both hit since I'm taking plus the points and you're going money line for the other team. So, all right.
Next up, we have the Chiefs and the Bengals being played in Cincinnati. Kansas City is favored -2 points, over under of 53. Joe Burrow is 2-0 in his career versus Mahomes. He sweeped him last year. Kansas City, though, has won 26 straight in the months of November and December, which is the longest streak basically active right now. Cincy has also covered 8 of their past 9. This is very possibly going to be a big time offensive game for both of these teams. I believe Mixon is back for the Bengals now. Jamar Chase should be back for the Bengals. So they're getting big time offensive players back on that Cincy squad. Meanwhile, the Chiefs have just been kind of rolling. They've been doing a great job. So apparently it's Eric Armstead. So either way, this could be a very close game. Lots of scoring. Should be high-powered offense. What do you got going for this one, Mike?
The Chiefs are just so fucking good. They're so dynamic. Travis Kelce, like losing Tyreek Hill created a massive void. And they've done a decent job of kind of, money balling their wide receiver room and kind of recreating him in the aggregate, right? Like finding other guys who can do different things and being able to mix up what they do on offense. Their run game is starting to come on a little bit. Pacheco has been better. CEH, we kind of talked about this at the very beginning of the season. We were not high on him, and he's out. He's injured. I think that's Pacheco's team going forward as well, that he will be the lead back would be my guess. And the Bengals are very good. They are starting to get back. They are getting Joe Mixon back for this game. That could play a factor. I have a hard time right now seeing anybody beating the Chiefs at this point, kind of where they're at. I know the Bengals are at home, and I think that's why the spread is closer at the -2. I just think the Chiefs are better. Maybe they win in a close game, but a close game is 3 points. I think the Chiefs are good enough to win this game by 3 points. I know short history, Joe Burrow, 2-0. I think that Mahomes rectifies that and goes out there, balls out. I'm going to take the Chiefs, and I'm going to take the Chiefs to actually cover the -2 points.
All right. Well, I'm going the opposite. I'm taking the Bengals plus the points. I actually think the Bengals will get the win here. Um, I think that getting that offensive talent back is going to be enough to kind of propel them over top of that Chiefs defense. Um, Mahomes is going to do what Mahomes does, but I think the Bengals actually will go out there and win the game. So I'm just going to take the extra points to kind of cover myself a little bit there. Getting Jamar back, getting Mixon back, the way the Bengals have been playing recently, their history versus playing the Chiefs. I like how all that stacks up, especially with them playing at home. So I'd like to see a even more parity there in the AFC.
Well, don't get me wrong. I want the Bengals to lose. I definitely need the Bengals to lose. That maybe sways my pick a little bit.
All right. But yeah, over under a 53 on this one. And I definitely think that we could see the over. I think that we could be getting both teams into that 30-point range. Closest competition, I believe, to what this game can kind of look like was 2 weeks ago for the Chiefs when they played the Chargers. They got a 30-27 win versus the Chargers, another offensive team that didn't have all of their offensive playmakers out there. I think that we could see a score close to that on this one.
Also, weather in this game, not a factor. There was chances of rain earlier in the week. That's basically all gone away. So weather should not be a factor. We're gonna be able to see two of the young, bright quarterbacks in this league go out there, ball out. I think they will put up a lot of points. 51 is a lot, but I think the over is going to hit as well. I feel good about the Chiefs and the way they have looked, the way they're able to do multiple things. And Travis Kelce is just otherworldly at the tight end spot. We've had conversations in the past, like, who's the best tight end? Travis Kelce doesn't block as good as some of the other tight ends in the league. Sure. I think he's by far the best pass catcher tight end in the league, though. And he's going to have a big day unless they are just literally doing anything possible to take away Travis Kelce. I see them being able to eat across the middle of that defense and get a win, and it'll be close, but close, 3 points. I got the Chiefs.
All righty. Next up, we have the Chargers and the Raiders being played in Vegas. The line currently has Vegas minus 2.5.
What the fuck
over
are we
under
doing
of
here?
49.5. Well, so there's some reason to believe that this could happen. Now, the Raiders have not lost since Derek Carr had his little crying session. We could maybe even call it a rally cry. All right. So they've won 2 straight in overtime.
Well done.
They've had two wins in overtime, back-to-back overtime wins. Though the Chargers did play the Raiders week 1 and they won 24-19. The thing is that Josh Jacobs has been on an absolute tear. He is
league leader in rushing right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's
for a guy that would look like he was going to get
games.
Fucking benched at the start of the year.
Yeah, he's had a couple phenomenal games, and the Chargers' rush defense is pretty porous. I mean, we've talked about that in previous weeks. They're allowing over 5 yards per rush to a running back now that is tearing it up. So it could be a big run day for the Raiders. Devontae Adams has come on more. But that Chargers team the offense is getting better. They're starting to get some of those guys back. Keenan Allen is playing again. Mike Williams is out, but you do have Austin Eckler still out there, and he's still doing what Austin Eckler does. Herbert is getting a little bit better after that rib injury earlier in the year. So it's not been fantastic for Herbert, but between the injury and all the other injuries on the team to his receiving core, he's done an all right job, in my opinion. This one being Vegas minus 2.5 though does surprise me. So I'm actually going to be taking the Chargers plus the points on this one. I think the Chargers actually probably win this game outright, but I'll take the points just to play it a little bit safer.
Yeah, and I'm following suit. I think the Chargers actually win this game, but I'm going to hedge and give myself the 2.5 as well. Austin Eckler is an absolute stud. Herbert has struggled this year. He's having a little bit of a slump. Not having Mike Williams is an issue. Keenan Allen back is good though, and I don't buy into the fact that this Raiders team has turned it around. My only concern with taking the Chargers is which one of these coaches is going to make the decision that loses the game. We have seen Josh McDaniels do it a couple times this year, and the defense has absolutely collapsed. And we have seen the Chargers rely entirely too much on analytics and make some bonehead fucking decisions. I don't listen. Analytics are great for the game. They are important to the game. You need to understand them. But you cannot run your entire operation off of analytics only, which is what it seems like the Chargers have done going back, a year and a half now. So that is one thing that worries me about the Chargers maybe not being able to pull this off. But Austin Eckler is a difference maker in this game. I think he has a massive fucking week. If you guys are daily fantasy players, or if you're a regular fantasy player, I guarantee Austin Eckler should be in your starting lineup. I feel it in my bones. I got Chargers winning this game, but I'm going to hedge and take the points with it.
Alrighty. Next up for our Sunday night game, we have the Colts at the Cowboys. The line is currently Dallas minus 10.5, over under of 44.5. The Colts have allowed the most sacks on their quarterback this year of any team. The Cowboys have the most sacks of any team. Dallas has 4 straight games with 28 plus points and over 400 total yards. I don't expect this one to be close. 10.5 might actually be correct for this sort of spread. It's a rough one. That the Jeff Saturday shine is
Dallas is the far superior team. The Dallas is way better. They rush the passer at a fantastic rate. And the Colts offensive line is just absolutely atrocious. They had a chance to win the game last week, bonehead coaching decision. I mean, we're going to see that from a guy who has not coached in the NFL, only coached high school football. I can't get behind the Colts. Torres, I love you. I'm sorry. I can't fucking do it. I don't think that they can cover, but I'm not willing to lay the 10.5. It's got to be Dallas on the money line. This is a slam dunk. If you are in a Survivor League, Cowboys this week is a great fucking pick.
Yeah, it's got to be Cowboys money line for me too. You know me, I don't like taking double-digit spreads, even though I think that it's very possible for them to win by double digits. Yeah, it's the Colts are just in a rough spot, man. They're in a really rough spot. It's not looking good for them.
They can't get consistent quarterback play, and their offensive line is trash. Now, I don't know which one is causing which, but they are definitely tied together. Whether Matt Ryan is having struggles because the offensive line is so bad, or that Matt Ryan has not been very good and held on to the ball too long and hurt that offensive line. Either way, it's not going to fucking matter in this one.
Yeah, it's tough. All right. Monday night, we have the Saints and the Bucks being played in Tampa. The line is currently Tampa minus 3.5, over under of 40.5. Tampa Bay is 1-7-1 against the spread in their past 9 games. New Orleans, however, is the only team in the NFL without a road cover this season. They've had 5 road losses against the spread. Brady, he is 11 touchdowns and 11 interceptions when playing the Saints as a Buck. So it always seems like the Bucks and Saints play a very tough game.
Yeah.
Very close. And more often than not, I feel like the Saints have been winning those ones. And in their first meeting in week 2, the Bucks won 20-10, but Brady only threw for 190 passing yards. Not a great game for him. Them being at home probably does give a little bit of an advantage, but I mean, the Bucks last week took a pretty big L versus your Browns.
Yes, they did. That stadium was fucking electric. So I got done selling the raffle tickets, was able to go out there and catch the end of the game. Njoku made a spectacular fucking catch. Safeties were too wide. He was manned up on a guy he can easily out jump. It was great. Tom couldn't get anything going, and it was a shit weather day. I'm not like I did not pick the Browns to win last week. I picked them to cover because I thought
picked
Tampa
them to
would
win.
maybe be able to do something. And Joe, you're absolutely right. This is a trap game. I think New Orleans wins this game, but I'm not willing to bet it. I will take the 3.5 though, because the hook is what does it for me. I could see Tampa winning this game, but if they do win, it's going to be by 3 points. It's going to be coming down to the wire. Tom gets lucky and they get in the fucking field goal range and his kicker bails him out. He has not been good this year. He has really struggled. The Saints have also struggled on offense. They do not have the dynamic running game. They have a really good receiver in Chris Olave, but they're missing a lot of weapons. They don't have a tight end that can really affect the field. They're missing Michael Thomas still, but I still think the Saints are going to play a really tight game. I think they can win, but I'm going to take the points because the hook makes all the difference there for me.
Yep, same thing for me. I feel like New Orleans has a good chance to win this game. So 3.5 points to the Saints. I'll take that all day. I'll take the Saints plus the points on this one.
All right.
All right. And then before we jump back in time, just as a note, we do have the Cardinals and the Panthers both on bye this week. The only big news really surrounding, we'll say, the Cardinals is that it's a double XP weekend for Kyler. So, you know, he's not studying. He's getting in some Call of Duty. Yeah. Also, you have my boy Patrick Peterson coming out and kind of calling out Kyler, saying, you know,
that not kind of calling out, very much calling him out, direct shot in the media saying Kyler only cares about Kyler.
Yeah, which, you know, he was asked, Pat was asked about that because Kyler kind of clapped back in a tweet, you know, saying, why didn't you call me, blah, blah, blah. Pat P was in a press conference, I believe, yesterday or the day before. He was asked about it, and he was like, it's being overblown a little bit. And he's like, I could have used better words. But he's saying that Kyler is too focused on himself instead of being the guy in charge of the team that he should be as the quarterback. A lot of it is body language when something bad happens or whatever, having little outbursts on the sideline or coming with your shoulders slumped. He's like, he needs to have a little bit more of a positive, uplifting kind of leadership role on that team. And when something goes wrong, he's too focused on himself and being down on himself. He also said that he doesn't have Kyler's number, so he couldn't contact him directly, but he has reached out, gotten Kyler's number and texted him and has had no responses back since this whole thing has gone down, and that he's looking forward to talking to Kyler in the future whenever he wants to talk. And if he wants to, or Kyler wants him to be a mentor to him, then he's willing to do that. But kind of his,
I want to see Pat P just beat the shit out of Kyler.
Like, well, I mean, he did when the Vikings played the Cardinals.
Yeah.
He you know, had his little video game, you know, taunt at him when we got that INT.
You know what? Speaking of video games, I was grinding some double XP myself a little bit. Got our play with our boy. $20 is $20 if you guys like gaming. If you guys like Call of Duty, like Kyler does, go check out $20 is $20 on Twitch. He is really fucking good. He has helped me improve my game because I stink out fucking loud, or at least I used to. But he's awesome. Go check him out. Good time.
Double He's got a little bit of a work change, so he might not be streaming quite as much anymore. But you can find him on Twitch. He's also got clips and shorts and stuff like that up on YouTube and TikTok and things like that. So definitely go and support our boy 20. And hopefully he's able to continue doing the streaming and stuff like that. But he's got a little bit of a traveling job now, so he's going to be moving around, and we'll see how that works out for him. But we love our boy 20. All right, so we're going back in time, and we will jump up. I guess we can talk about this real quick. Every week there's a clip of Kyler yelling at someone, whether it's a teammate or head coach, so I'd have to agree with Peterson. I think we all kind of
Yeah, like it's plain as day, and having Hard Knocks in the building is not making that situation any fucking better.
Yeah, it's a perfect pick for Hard Knocks to go there for their mid-season team because they're getting all the drama. All right, but we have the New York Jets coming into Minneapolis to face my Minnesota Vikings. The line is currently Minnesota -3 and over-under of 44.5. Big one for this game is going to be how does Sauce Gardner go up against Justin Jefferson.
That is the matchup that I am excited to see.
Yeah, they're both talking about being excited to play one another, best versus best type of situation, because Sauce is like the highest ranked PFF defensive back in the league this year as a rookie. So if that's not defensive rookie of the year candidate right there, I don't know who is. Minnesota, like I alluded to earlier, can clinch the North with a win plus a Detroit loss. Fuck you, Joe Rockstar, for this comment. You can suck my dick from the back. Zadarius Smith is going out there. He's leading the NFL in pressures with 61 pressures. Obviously, we're seeing sack leader coming from up there in New England, but Zadarius is getting good pressure. The Jets have allowed the fewest points in the fourth quarter this season with 33, though I feel like the 49ers got to be creeping up on them with their second half way that they're playing. But Jets defense obviously has been pretty strong, specifically Sauce Gardner, but overall their defense has been playing pretty darn well. And their offense was really nothing to speak about until last week when Mike White comes in. It's just my luck. I really, really would have loved to have seen a Zach Wilson game here. Really would have loved to have seen a Zach Wilson game here. And we probably would have made Zach Wilson look pretty good.
Yeah, he would have. Zach Wilson would have earned himself another week of starting playing against the way your guys' defense plays.
Yeah. Now, this, like I said, this Jets team, they are a good team. They are not the Jets that we're used to from the past decade. They are a pretty good team. Minnesota minus 3 points does scare me. I'm not like it's going to be another close game.
You guys play everybody fucking close.
We play close games. So I'm expecting Minnesota to win. I'm going to take Minnesota money line on this one, but this one does scare me because Mike White, I think, is a much better quarterback. I think that he actually could be a solid average starting quarterback in this NFL. Obviously, he had a big ass week last week, but it was against a very shitty Bears defense. But still, our defense isn't a whole lot to write about when you're talking about that pass D. So I am a little bit more worried about this game than I would like to be. Way more worried than I would be if Zach Wilson was playing. God, I would hammer this if Zach Wilson was playing.
Yeah,
but he's not. It's Mike White right now. And man, I just don't know how you put Zach Wilson back in until it's like next year. But even then, I don't know. So for me, I got to take Vikings money line because giving up 3 points is just not our style. So Vikings money line on this one.
So I want to hop on the train with you. I want to support your boys, but this defense for the Jets is very fucking good. I'm excited to see the way Sauce and Jefferson go at it. I think there's a lot of mutual respect there. I don't think we'll see too many chippy things. But they have played fantastic fucking defense. And Mike White made me a lot of money, and I fucking called it. Mike White has been the best quarterback on that team for quite some time. Joe Flacco was never the guy, but Joe Flacco started at the beginning of the year because he was a veteran. And I think there was a worry about having Mike White start and perform well. And then you have Zach back. And then what do? We don't have to worry about that anymore because Zach fucking stinks. He's been bad since he got in the league. It's not improving. Zach Wilson's problem is Zach Wilson. He is just not a good quarterback. He's the one making mistakes. It's not the system. It's nothing else around him. His offensive coordinator even tried to take some of the blame for not having Zach playing better to kind of pull some of that heat off of him. You guys are very good. Your run game is hit or miss week to week, though. And that worries me a little bit. I still think that you guys can win. I think this is going to be a close game. Once again, I'm going to stick with my theme on close games. I'm going to take the points. I'm going to go Jets +3. I could see you guys winning for sure. I could see you guys losing this game. But all in all, I see this absolutely as a... Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you, brother. I see this as a close game. I'm going to take the points. It might be a push, but yeah, the Jets are cooking. This is a massive game for Mike White. If Mike White can come out back-to-back weeks and perform, this will become Mike White's team. There will be no more conversations about Zach Wilson. The book is out on Zach.
Yep. Now, talk is cheap, but for the first time this year in an interview, we actually heard some Vikings defenders talking about the issues that they've had on defense. And specifically, I believe it was Pat P came out and talked about NFL offenses are playing us a little bit different based on how we are playing this year. And we haven't done a ton to adjust to it, that they are doing little adjustments here week to week and stuff like that. But basically they've stuck with this bend not break. And he said that now that they are in this portion of the season, they are actually actively working on making certain adjustments to kind of catch offenses off guard. So it's a weird thing. You would think that you would just start making these adjustments earlier
immediately, yeah.
but maybe this is some sort of a strategy to, okay, we're going to try to play a different style of defense or different coverage looks and things like that later in the year, so that teams have less time to adjust to us. I don't know, we'll see.
Who in that secondary though can really like match up with a Garrett Wilson though? I don't know that you guys have that guy. Pat Pete's going to have to try to bully him if he's going to cover him. Like that's
Pat P is the best cornerback that we have. We're getting a Caleb Evans back from a concussion. He is I believe like a 4th round pick or something like that for us, who has looked pretty good, but he's not a burner as far as speed. We still have Cam Dantzler, who is out on IR. He should be coming back hopefully shortly. Our rookie 2nd round pick, Booth Jr., he is also on IR after a meniscus surgery. So we're actually really thin at the cornerback spot. Duke Shelley, a guy that we picked up from the Bears practice squad, has actually looked pretty good for being our 5th option. Not a guy I want starting out there every week, but has looked all right. It'll be interesting to see if we are able to get that pressure on Mike White, because I honestly don't know how he will perform under heavy pressure. We are a team that can get good pressure, and maybe that rattles him a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. But I gotta stick, Vikings money line.
Yeah, 100%. I get it. Listen, I could go the other way. I could see Minnesota can easily win this game. They could absolutely win this game. I just feel like there's a changing of the guard going on with the Jets right now. They're playing really good football, and I think Mike White is going to have that like Taylor Heineke effect where he is elevating the guys around him because they're excited to actually play with him. That's one of the reasons I'm going Jets plus the points. I could see the Jets losing and you guys winning, and still both of these bets still fucking hitting, or you get a hit and I get a push here. Cause I mean, 3 points is kind of where I expect it. Cause you guys play everybody fucking close. You refuse to bury somebody when you have a chance.
Yeah. All right. And then that'll take us to our last game, which is the Browns at the Texans, the start of Deshaun Watson, his first game in 700 days. Hopefully he got a good rub and tug before this one and will be ready to go. I mean, he knows all the massage therapists down there in Houston, so he probably knows where the best spot is to go to get loose for this game. The line is Cleveland -8, over under a 46.5. It's a lot of points, but you're playing the fucking Texans, all right?
It's the fucking Texans.
You're playing
but
the
one
thing
that the Browns have done really bad is stop the run. Go ahead with your stats, though.
Yes. However, one thing that you guys do well is run the ball, right?
Yeah.
So Chubb is averaging 94.5 yards per game on the ground rushing. That's 3rd in the NFL. Houston, on the other hand, is allowing their opponents 168.6 rushing yards per game, which is last in the NFL. With this being Deshaun's first game, he'll probably be motivated to show that he was worth all that draft capital. Probably wants to take it to Houston a little bit. Whether or not he actually has a great game, I'm not so sure, because there's definitely going to be some rust and whatnot.
700 days without football. 700 days without football.
Yep.
That is a long fucking time to be off. It's insane to me that like Browns fans, and I'm very plugged into the Browns stuff. I'm very plugged in the Browns Twitter. Everybody's like, oh, once we get our franchise guy, this team's going to take off. Our franchise guy has not been a franchise guy in 2 fucking years because he hasn't been playing football. That kind of layoff is huge. We see the Browns fans should know that when you have a massive layoff, there's going to be rust and there's going to be things that you got to shake off. Like Josh Gordon was the best receiver in the league for a year, and then was suspended, and we never saw that guy again. He still has never been that guy because that amount of time away from football creates issues. I'm not saying Deshaun is going to fall flat on his face. I think Deshaun can go out there. He will win this game. But we kind of talked about it in one of the threads on the Facebook group. I'm expecting to see a lot of rust, specifically in the passing game, because he has not been in those situations. I think we will see him break the pocket. We'll see a lot of scramble drill, and he will make plays with his legs against a team that is giving up a ton of fucking running yards. I just don't think that we can expect Deshaun to go out there, complete 70% of his passes, throw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. And now maybe he does that. But if he does do that, we have to temper expectations because we're playing the fucking Texans. We're going to win this game. There's no doubt in my mind. Nick Chubb is going to go fucking off in this game. But there is a potential that the Texans can keep it close if they can get a running game going. We have been really bad at running the ball. Dameon Pierce has been really good at running the ball, but has slumped over the last couple of weeks. This is kind of a get-right game possibility for Dameon Pierce to go out there, get some yards, show that he is proficient and can run the ball again, because he has kind of laid a couple eggs over the last couple of weeks, especially if you're in fantasy. Did not hurt me over the last couple of weeks because I have Dameon Pierce, but he's got to go out there and prove something. He has a chance to do it against a pretty porous Browns rush defense. None of that's going to matter, though. The Browns are going to win this game. We are a far better fucking team than the Texans in basically every fucking aspect of the game. I just cannot, in good conscience, knowing a guy hasn't played football in 700 days, take them to cover 8. That's too much. I have no idea what this offense is going to look like now that Deshaun's back in there. I expect us to win because the Texans are trash. So I'm Browns money line and Nick Chubb going fucking ham and feasting on a really bad Texans defense.
Yep. And I think I got to go Browns money line too, just because we don't know what we're going to see out of Deshaun. But my question to you is, with Deshaun's first game back out there, what do you think that his stat line will be?
My guess is he will be, let's see. 21 to 32, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick.
Okay. I was going to go around 220 yards, 1 touchdown, and that's that.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I mean,
we'll see.
Those are below average numbers for what Deshaun has done in his career.
Yeah.
It's not a great completion percentage. It's not a ton of yards. And I expect him to throw a pick because this is basically like his fucking preseason, even though we're now somehow back in the hunt to possibly make the playoffs after getting a win last week against Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm. Now, I got to double check here real quick. But, yeah, the Texans are going to be without Brandon Cooks.
Yeah,
and Derek Stingley.
Back. I think one interesting aspect of this game,
excuse me,
has nothing to do with the game whatsoever, is that the lawyer for the women who pressed charges against Deshaun, or filed suit against Deshaun, not pressed charges, filed suit. He decided he was going to buy a box for this game and bring some of the victims of Deshaun Watson for this game. And there's going to be a lot of noise around that. I doubt the NFL will put that on TV. This game is only being shown in the Houston and the Cleveland market. Nobody else in the country is going to be able to see this game, which I thought is interesting. They're still trying to hide this. I don't know that the NFL still... All of the publicity and the bad press that happened at the start of the NFL season, we had a reprieve from that for about 8 fucking weeks. Now it's all going to rush back in. That is going to be a massive storyline, talking point on every channel, Fox, CBS, fucking ESPN. They're all going to be talking about this and how this game goes. And the lawyers, like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and put myself in the press one more time, because it's not enough to have had all the situation. Like, I get it. What happened is terrible. I don't understand why we're still playing the storyline out. Why are they going to push for more charges? Like, what? It doesn't make any sense to me. I am not all in on Deshaun. I want my boys to win. I want the Browns to win every fucking week. There's so many extra things that are going to go on and happen again for probably until the end of the season. Like I've seen Twitter fucking spats and fights already saying if you're supporting the Browns and Deshaun Watson, that you support serial rapists. Like that's the level of shit that people are getting to right now. It's gonna be ugly. We're gonna win. I don't know what we'll cover. We could cover because the Texans fucking stink, but I expect rust and a win.
All right. Well, that pretty much that wraps it up for the week. One note is that while we were filming the show here today, Adam Schefter came out and said that the Rams have placed Matthew Stafford on IR. Ooh. He is effectively done for the year. That is just more of the calling it quits for the Rams that we were talking about earlier in the show. Technically, he's eligible to come back week 17 versus the Chargers, but they will be playing for nothing at that point. So the chances of him actually coming off IR at that point are slim to none. So sorry, LA Rams fans. It is definitely done for this season. They are calling it.
Yeah. Also noteworthy, Aaron Rodgers cleared to play. David Bakhtiari is out. And college football, we're going to have a massive fucking shakeup unless TCU does something spectacular here at the very end. They are down 28-20 with 4:47 left in the game. If TCU loses as well as on top of USC, their college football is going to be fucking wild. I don't know what the CFP is going to do. I mean, if everybody loses but Georgia, this might be the most parity that we have seen in college football in quite some time. When we got a 2-loss Alabama team, we got Ohio State losing a game, we got Michigan losing in a Big Ten championship game that they should not lose to Purdue if that happens, who has also beat Ohio State. TCU has been fantastic all year, but right now they're losing to a ranked opponent. Shit's going to get wild. As soon as we get off of here, I'm going to go turn the rest of this game on and see what the fuck is happening, see if TCU can pull this thing out. But right now, it does not look good.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting day for the rest of those college football games. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it, Mike.
Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here, man. I'm going to go eat. I got some buffalo chicken dip waiting on me. Turn on some college football, catch the end of this game, and then I think we're going to go out, have a couple drinks tonight with some people I work with at the Veteran Center. So, guys, this is the Lineman Lounge. I'm Sleeveless Mike. The man to my right is Thick Evo. We thank you guys for hopping in, commenting, and joining us every week. We hope that we make you guys some money. We appreciate all your support. If you want to interact with the show, you can go to the Facebook group, the Facebook page. We have Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And if you want to listen, because you don't want to feel bad about looking at these two beautiful sons of bitches in front of you, you can go check us out anywhere podcasts are found. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that shit. We are everywhere. We appreciate you. We love you. We're going to get the fuck out of here. See you.
Welcome to the Lineman Lounge, hosted by Mike and Evo, calling their shots and being outlandish.
Breaking news from the Lineman Lounge. My fantasy football team just took a huge fucking hit. And that also makes it even more likely that the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens on Monday night. Le'Veon Bell is about to be your starter. Latavius Murray is going to go there as well. Jesus, fuck my ass.
Get ready for the thickest podcast in the game. Coming to you from Hangar 6, where sleeves are off.